Hey, what's up, Mi40 University? Ben Pakulski back, standing in front of this amazing Watson cable pull down. So Watson is a company out of the UK that makes this awesome piece that allows you, if you can see, you probably can't see it, but it actually has variability as far as how far this cable goes in and out. So that's really important. So most people, when they're doing cable pull downs, they're using a single cable from above and their hands are in a fixed position. That's probably pretty bad for most people, and let me tell you why. So your active range, what's known as your active range for your glenohumeral joint, so your ability to externally rotate, is going to be massively influencing on what your arm position should be or what your range of motion should be for back training. So one of my biggest discoveries over the last maybe 12 months has been how essential it is to maintain a position of external rotation while you're training your back, while you're training your lats. So most people, when they train their lats, they get this position of internal glenohumeral rotation, don't really get a great amount of stretch, don't really get a great amount of tension in the stretch for their lat. So as soon as you learn to maintain external rotation without dropping your shoulder, so just external rotation of the glenohumeral joint, there's going to be a massive increase in tension and torque in your lat. So if you haven't tried that already, try that out. That's one of my best tips for back. Secondary to that, you need to know what your body can do. Trying to do something, here's an example. That's about as far as I can go. So if you see my bicep, it's pointed about over there. It should be pointed straight up. I don't have awesome external rotation in this side. So for me to try to think that my elbow is supposed to come down up the side of my body means I'm going to do this. So I'm trying to do a range of motion where it's down the side of my body. For me to get that elbow pointed straight, now my whole spine is just bent over and dipped. That's probably going to be a whole lot of bad news for your spine, especially if I'm using any appreciable amount of weight. So knowing what my external rotation ability is will dictate my arm path. So if I can only externally rotate that far, that's my arm path. That's it. So if I can go a little further on this side, that's my arm path. That's it. So I don't want to try to think about, okay, well, where should my arm path be? Well, this machine says my elbow is supposed to be at my sides, or my trainer says my elbow is supposed to be at my sides. What's happening? I'm externally rotating. Oh, I guess I'm going to have to do it like this. In no way is that helping you. It's only going to end up causing you spinal problems and back pain. So I highly suggest you learn what your ability to externally rotate is. So when I'm doing a lat pull down, if I'm doing a lat pull down and I'm trying to do a straight bar pull down and I can only externally rotate that far, what's that doing for me? I should be over here, but I can't do it without moving my spine, right? So I want to be, if I'm pulling down in a straight line, that external rotation should be there. So the only way I can do it, look what my spine's doing. Something crazy. How can I do it with two arms? Pretty damn hard for someone like me. So something like this is a massive asset at my gym. So what we do is we determine our active range on both sides and then line up the cable so that it's directly in line with what I'm trying to do. So right, as you can see, my arms are naturally pointed directly at that cable. So I'll reach up, grab that cable, fully externally rotate, arch my chest really, really high, push into this pad, pull down. And that's my ability to externally rotate my glenohumeral joint and how it affects back training and back development. So if you haven't thought about this before, I highly recommend. Your greatest position for lat recruitment is primarily externally rotated when you're training your lats. So learn that and maybe practice it, get good at it. And remember, it's not rotation here, it's not pronation, supination, it's external rotation here. So you may want to test it all the way up, and notice how you get to the top, it kind of starts to stink a little bit. So when you're way up here, your external rotation ability isn't very good. And you can also try it in elevation. Oh, that might get a little better external rotation there. So things to think about. Maintain an external rotation when you're doing rows. And external rotation doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a supinated grip. External rotation can still be a neutral grip, and that's probably where it should be for greatest output. It's just a matter of learning to differentiate those two movements. Ben Pakulski for the Mi40 University, out.